it's Michelle from Scrap Secrets and welcome to another fun fold card. So this was originally intended for day 3 of the Under the Sea hop, but unfortunately I had an emergency Friday night and couldn't get the video up in time. But I did want to share it with you guys. So the first thing that I do when I create fun fold cards is to create a sample. So this is a regular card base on the left side, which is cut to 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4.25 to make a 4.25 by 5.5 inch card. And then the other side, the right piece that I'm showing you now, is a piece of 5.5 by 5 cardstock. On the 5-inch side, score it at 3/4 inch, and then place that either in your trimmer or use a ruler and mark off 2 3/4 on the 3 sides that are not folded. Now, what you want to make sure that you remember to do is to not rotate the card. Make a mark at the top and then at the bottom. Don't rotate it and try to do 2 3/4 from both sides. I did that the first time and that's why my sample came out a little funny. Now I'm placing the marks within the ridge of my paper trimmer and just cutting them off to create that point that you saw on the front of the card. I'm going to place it on the inside of the card like this. You can place it on the inside or the back when you glue it down, and I chose to do the inside, and when I did that I also took about 1/8 or 1/16 inch off of the front of my card base. That way it helped it fold over a little bit easier and wasn't impeding it. Now I'm taking a square die from Spellbinders and I'm just lining it up where I want that window to be. I kind of want a diamond on the front to have a mermaid show through. So I'm going to tape it down and then I'm going to run it through my cuttlebug, and I'll come back and show you guys that there's that window, and very easy. I tried to line it up as best as I could. It's a little bit difficult because it wasn't exactly even on all sides, but it's handmade. It doesn't have to be perfect. I like the way that it came out. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take the stamps from a couple different stamp sets and ink them up with Catherine Pooler Midnight ink. The stamp sets that I chose were Kindred Stamps, Sea Friends, and then there's also a couple MFT ones I chose. You're Fintastic, Sending Sweet Celebration Wishes, and Mermaid for Each Other. Some of these are the first time I've stamped it out, so I am going to have to stamp a couple times, even though Catherine Pooler inks do give a really good impression. I did stamp them a couple times. One, there's a lot of images on there, and some of them were brand new. So that's the great thing about having a MISTI or another kind of stamping tool, is that you can do that. They're stamped onto Bristol smooth cardstock because we are going to be using Gamsol and colored pencils, my Prismacolor colored pencils. So yes, I have taken Gamsol again out of the timeout, the penalty box, and I'm attempting to use it again. I'm really loving colored pencils with images lately, and I don't know, I just felt like I was coloring with Copics a lot, so I thought that I would give the colored pencils a try. So I'm going to put this to the side and let it dry a little bit. Catherine Pooler ink, for me at least, seems to stay a little bit wet for a while. Now we're going to take the front and back of the card base and then the additional panel, and we are going to ink it up to make it look like it's all ocean. So I used 3 colors of Distress Oxide: Salty Ocean, Mermaid, Lagoon, and Broken China. So I'm not going to show you the entire process because it's literally just putting ink to paper, but I'm going back and I want texture to it. So you're gonna see I'm not doing perfect blends. I'm leaving the brush marks in there. I think it makes it look more realistic when it comes time, and I actually do a technique in a little bit, and I think I left that in there, of just pouncing the brush down to give it depth and dimension and some texture. You see there, I accidentally put the brush down and the paper slipped. I don't care because it's going to make it just look like more texture underwater. I'm not doing a smooth blend for this, which is also good. I'm using 65-pound Recollections cardstock, and it's not always the smoothest. Bristol smooth cardstock gives a great result if you wanted a nice smooth blend, but I really didn't for this. So I'm going to ink up all of the pieces, front and back, and then I end up inking up the entire card. Now, because this cardstock is lightweight, it was a little bit warped, I probably would use a thicker cardstock if I was doing this over again. There you can see I'm kind of just taking the darker colors and pouncing it around to make it look like bubbles under the sea. This was really fun to do. This was a great technique. So I'm just going back and forth, blending the colors a little bit, but leaving that texture and actually leaving some of the cardstock underneath that beigeish tan color, because I also think it gives a little bit of character to it. So you'll see a little bit there, and you can see the back I got inky because again I am such a messy inker, so I'm going to ink the entire thing up. So this is a lot of blending. My fingers were blue for a while after this card was done. I'm going to ink everything up. I think I eventually do cut part of this out because, again, it's still the same thing. It's just going back and forth with the 3 colors and blending it out. Now when it's done, I'm going to take my MFT On Point Precision Glue and glue that inside. You can use wet glue, you can use tape, it doesn't matter. I just felt for this it would be a little bit stronger of a hold because this is going to be a mechanism that is going to fold over and it's going to be how the card opens. So I'm just lining it up with the right side of the card base and making sure that the score lines line up. Now you can kind of see that line in there. It's not going to bother me. If it bothers you, you can definitely put it on the back. But for me, it didn't bother it. I just tried to make the blues blend together. So there you go. That's the entire back of the card base. And now I'm just spritzing some water from a Tim Holtz water bottle. It didn't really give me the effect that I wanted, and we do something in a little bit to add a little bit more under the sea characteristics to it. I'm not really sure why it wasn't reacting that well, but it didn't react like normal distress oxides would on normal paper. So I don't know if the paper was too wet. I'm not really sure what happened, but I did get a little effect down at the bottom right corner you can see, but it wasn't like I normally do. So we will use some watered down paint in a little bit to create that effect that I was looking for. Okay, so now I'm just going over with the water, trying to create more. Okay, so then we are going to start coloring with the Prismacolor colored pencils and Gamsol. So I like to just kind of put highlights down, put pencil where the darkest area is, then take my blending stump with some Gamsol and blend that out. I know that you can get a bunch of colors and you can kind of do like Copic markers and blend a bunch of colors out. However, for me, these images were mostly tiny spaces. So I just pretty much used one color for each and every section and then blended it out. Oh, sorry, and that's Lucy. She is hopping up on my area and I guess she wanted to say hi. Fred's in the hallway and Lucy wanted to say hi. So anyway, I am taking different colors of colored pencil and blending that out. So you'll just see me color pretty much the turtle and then I believe part of the mermaid. I didn't leave all the coloring in because that did take a really, really long time. And I actually went back later on and darkened up the turtle. I think you can see in the final image, I used a much darker color because to me, it just didn't stand out. He kind of blended into his shell a little bit too much and I wanted the body to be darker. Still working with colored pencils. I don't have a really good technique down. I feel like it's taking me a long time. Maybe I should take some coloring classes to learn how to do it. Maybe some kit and clouder classes. But I'm enjoying the process. I know that I'm not great at it, but I'm enjoying it. And I think that's all that really matters is we don't have to be perfect at it or be, the best as long as you enjoy what you're doing. So I did, and then I'm coloring in the hat. After I color all these images in, I will take them over to my brother Scan and Cut and cut them out. When I cut the turtle image out, the pom-pom at the top is not solid. It's just a bunch of little lines in forming a circle. So it didn't exactly cut out. So there's something that I'm going to do to fix the pom-pom. So you see me colored in, I believe, purple there, but it's not going to be purple in the final project. So here you go. I'm trying to stay with similar colors, the blues, the purples, and the greens for this entire project. So that I'm not introducing too many colors because the background has a lot of blue in it. I wanted to kind of keep the colors coordinating with that, but not introduce too many of them. So there you see me blending it out with the blending stump that has Gamsol on it. Even with my Gamsol spill, I still do have enough Gamsol left for a while. I will go get another bottle when I go out to the craft store. But honestly, since March, I've only been to the craft store one time, and it was to get the Copic markers at Michael's that were extremely on sale. So I'm kind of going through a craft store withdrawal a little bit. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, but I really haven't been out shopping. That's really the only place I've been shopping. I do my grocery shopping at Target or pick it up online and then just go in for the frozen and things. And I go to a butcher now for meat and lunch meat. So it's really weird to not go to a craft store like I did all the time. Okay, so now I took some regular white acrylic paint, I watered it down, and I took a brush and flicked it on there. I got white paint all over my phone. I still think I have some on it. But it gave me that splatter effect that I was really looking for in the background. So I was really happy with the way this came out. I'm just opening everything up. This dries fairly quickly because they're only little flicks. And what I also noticed was it also did a little bit of oxidizing because you're putting some moisture on it, which is what causes the oxides to react a little bit too. So it kind of did a little bit of a double duty. I like the way it looked. It is a little bit more subtle than I normally would do. So I am just stamping the Let's Celebrate in the bottom right hand corner. I wanted to have a sentiment on the inside as well as the outside. So I'm using that same Catherine Pooler ink, and that's the first time I've used that. And that Let's Celebrate, I believe, is from the Mermaid for Each Other stamp set. I believe that's what that's from. And then Sending You Birthday Fishes, which I'm going to do inside, is the You're Fintastic. And that You're Fintastic is a smaller stamp set, and it has a bunch of sentiments in it. So I'm using my precision glue to glue the characters down. I wanted to glue the turtle on the front, and as you can see, his pom-pom is not on top of his birthday hat, so we'll fix that in a minute. And then I knew I wanted that mermaid. She fit perfectly into that opening, so I'm going to glue her down. And I think there's one other image that's just on that inside flap of the card, because most of the time it's going to be covered up when it's closed. So I didn't want too much to be on that front panel, but I believe I add something else. I'm going to add the banner, and I wanted it to go right in the middle, and I wasn't sure what I wanted it to say. It didn't have enough to say celebrate. It didn't have, I was trying to do 2 for happy birthday, but that didn't work out. So I end up writing party in there. I don't love the way it turned out, and I'm sorry about the white balance on this. I knew I wanted the 2 characters from the Sea Friends from Kindred Stamps to hold the banner. So I put that up there, and then I knew I wanted one of the mermaids to hold the cupcake, and I didn't know where to put the cake. So I kind of play around with that for a little while in my head. So the mermaid that's sitting in the tube, I put her to the right hand bottom side, kind of where they go to where the seam goes together. I was looking at this and I didn't even realize for a couple seconds that that's where the seam was. But I wanted her over closer to the seam, kind of to distract a little bit from it and cover a little bit of it up. And then the other mermaid that has the tube around her, her arm is out, so I thought that was a perfect place to put the cupcake. Not crazy about the way that mermaid's hair turned out, but again, you live and you learn. It's handmade, it's not perfect. So now, again, playing around with the cake, not sure where that's going to go. I am putting glue on the back of the banner. So I'm hoping that you guys love these fun fold series. I'm having so much fun learning different fun folds to do. I have a couple more in mind that I want to do. I am loving it for any special projects for hops. I just think interactive cards, which fun folds generally are are just so much more fun than a normal card to open. So that's why I decided to do those. I hope that you like them. If you do, leave me a comment below. I would love to hear what you guys think of it. If you're over the series, let me know. I'll figure out a new type of card to do. But for right now, fun folds are what I'm loving. So there you go. I glue everything down, and then again, there's a little shell. I'm not really sure what to do with the shell and the birthday cake. So I'm folding it over, and then I realize that I want the starfish on the front with the mermaid. So I glue that on. And again, this is just, I stamped out a bunch of, and colored a bunch of pieces. I wasn't sure if I was going to use everything, but I knew I had a lot of real estate to cover. So with the fun fold cards, that's the nice thing about it. You can create a massive scene. I thought I was going to try to get her to hold the cake. It was too big. Again, just placement. I generally have an idea of how I want the card to look when I start it, but I wasn't sure. So I decided to put the cake on the front of it. I would have loved to put it on the turtle's back, but it didn't, proportionally, it wasn't right. So that's what happens sometimes when you mix. Those are from the same stamp set, but you know, not everything goes together. I wasn't sure if I wanted to put the shell, and I thought it looked a little bit out of place, so I decided we're not going to use the shell. So that's everything that's glued down to the card, and now we are going to stamp the happy birthday fishes with the Misty. We're going to use the same Catherine Pooler ink to ink it up, and I'm just trying to figure out placement, because again, when you open up the card, the inside is flat, but when you fold it, you know, you have 3 pieces, 3 different panels there. So, but I wanted, when you opened it up, to make it look like a seamless scene, even though you can kind of see the seam right there. You know, just trying to make it look as seamless as possible. So just using the Catherine Pooler ink. I am loving that ink. I think I'm going to get more colors from her, because I really love the way this Midnight stamps, and it's great to use with Copic markers and as well as colored pencils and Gamsol. It really doesn't smudge, so I'm loving it. I know she's got a bunch of different colors, so I'm kind of upset that it took me this long to buy her, you know, try it out. But there are so many different inks on the market. I'm really loving this one right now for stamping up all my images to give a nice solid black image. And no, this isn't an ad or anything. I bought it myself. I'm not associated with her or anything. So just wanted to make that clear. I know that there's all kinds of rules with social media and ad placement and stuff like that. Anyway, there is the card all stamped out, and now I am going to take a black marker and I'm going to write party in there. So I'm going to skip the first one and the last one, so those ones will be blank. I wish I had thought to stamp it because my handwriting isn't the best, but again, it is what it is. It's a handmade card. It's the thing that I like least about the entire card is that banner, me writing party in there. But again, it was the very last thing I did, and sometimes you should call it quits, and I have a problem with that. I have a problem learning when enough is enough. I believe the next thing that I do is I realize that the cotton ball, or the little pom-pom at the top of the turtle's hat, is missing, so I am going to take some stickles and put a little dot of it on top of that. I'm sorry about the white balance. I know that you can't really see it on there. It's kind of clear with some glitter in it. I'm just flicking it from behind to make it look a little bit more like a circle, and then I'm going to take an old pair of scissors and just kind of round it out a little bit more. It had a little point at the top. So that's it, and here are some pictures of the cards. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please feel free to subscribe, leave comments. I love hearing from you guys, and thank you to all my new subscribers. I will be back soon for another video.